Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy compared Russia's President Vladimir Putin to Adolf Hitler, the notorious leader of the Nazi regime. Zelenskyy, who is of Jewish heritage, made the remark during a new interview and warned that World War III could start without more U.S. assistance to Ukraine's fight in the war effort against Russia, News.com has learned. Russian society has lost respect for the world. It elected and re-elected him and raised a second Hitler. It did it. We cannot go back to the past, but we can stop it here, Zelenskyy said during an interview with 60 Minutes. He expressed grave concerns about the implications of Russian expansion, asking, if the Russians reach Poland, what will happen next? World War III. He advocated for deoccupying territory and moving forward. In a recurring narrative, President Putin has made unfounded claims that Western forces deliberately orchestrated the appointment of a Jewish Ukrainian leader as part of a strategy to conceal the alleged glorification of Nazism. The Russian leader has persisted in asserting a false narrative, contending that other leaders in Kiev have been engaged in a campaign of neo-Nazi genocide against Ukraine's substantial population of native Russian speakers. Putin has used these claims as a dubious rationale for Russia's military involvement in Ukraine, referring to it as a special military operation. He has stated, Western influencers have positioned an individual of Jewish ethnicity, with Jewish heritage and roots, as the leader of contemporary Ukraine. Consequently, it appears to me that they are attempting to obscure what I believe to be an underlying inhumanity at the core of the modern Ukrainian state. He further stated, according to Daily Mail, this situation is deeply troubling, as it involves an individual of Jewish ethnicity purportedly concealing the glorification of Nazism and shielding those who were responsible for the Holocaust in Ukraine, resulting in the extermination of 1.5 million people. Moscow has consistently accused the country of being a Nazi state and has accused Kiev's leadership of carrying out a neo-Nazi genocide against Ukraine's Russian-speaking populace. These allegations have been a subject of international dispute, with many nations and organizations rejecting them as baseless. During the interview, Zelenskyy discussed the counteroffensive strategy of the war against Russia. In the present conflict, the battlefield spans a vast 700-mile front. The red zone on the map signifies the 20% of Ukraine that remains under Russian occupation. This is precisely where Western-supplied tanks were originally intended to break through, thereby dividing the Russian forces. He added, the progress of armored units has been impeded by trenches, minefields, and relentless artillery barrages. As a result, the current situation has evolved into an intense artillery exchange, with both sides launching approximately 40,000 shells per day. Ukrainian infantry, in their advance, are gaining ground in hard-fought increments. It's World War I with drones. Putin's position as Russia's leader seems more secure than ever, with Dmitry Peskov, the press secretary of the President of the Russian Federation, openly acknowledging the certainty of Putin's re-election. Peskov stated, our presidential election is not really democracy, it is costly bureaucracy. Mr. Putin will be re-elected next year with more than 90% of the vote. Adding to this assertion, Putin is expected to secure more than 80% of the votes in the 2024 election, according to Daily Star. This projection is attributed to strategies such as declaring campaign days as national public holidays and adopting the slogan, Russia, let's go. Additionally, a new tourism campaign is planned, promoting Russia as better than Turkey in the Maldives. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has left the nation torn and bloodied, exacerbating Russia's isolation from the Western world and contributing to global economic instability. Ukraine's legal dispute with Russia has reignited at the highest court of the United Nations. The case centers on Ukraine's allegations that Russia exploited the Genocide Convention to justify its invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. In response, Russia has adamantly argued that the case is an abuse of process and should be dismissed. Gennady Kuzmin, the head of Moscow's legal team at the International Court of Justice, conveyed to the 16-judge panel that Ukraine's case is deeply flawed and in contradiction with the long-standing legal precedents of the court. Kuzmin contended that Ukraine's filing flagrantly disregards the proper administration of justice and constitutes an abuse of process. In his opening statement, he echoed Russian claims, referring to neo-Nazis in Kiev, and drew comparisons between Russia's military actions in Ukraine and the 1999 NATO airstrikes on Serbia, which aimed to halt Belgrade's military campaign in Kosovo. Ukraine's case, filed shortly after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, argues that the attack was predicated on false allegations of genocide in the Luhansk and Donetsk regions of eastern Ukraine. It also alleges that Moscow had intentions of committing genocidal acts in Ukraine, as per Sky News. According to Ukraine, Russia has turned the Genocide Convention on its head, using a false claim of genocide as a pretext for actions that constitute severe violations of human rights affecting millions of people throughout Ukraine. Conversely, Russian lawyers maintain that the court lacks jurisdiction in this matter and that the Genocide Convention should not be invoked to regulate a nation's use of force.